welcome to the Ascendant Art podcast, where we're going to have a nice, fun hangout this week and talk about how She-Hulk started terrible and ended terrible. So, hopefully, you guys have not gotten burnt out on that kind of content today on YouTube. How about you? What do you think, Joe? You think the people will still be down for hating on She-Hulk?
I mean, I have not watched it, full transparency on that one, but I also have not seen or heard anyone saying anything good about it.
I feel like we're definitely not in that Venn diagram of overlapping where anybody who would have something positive to say about She-Hulk would be. So,
No, that's not really our target demographic.
that's a good. It brings up an extra interesting point. Like, who is the target demographic for She-Hulk the way it's done? What is it that they were actually? Was is it just?
I mean, based on the format, like what I've seen of it and everything, the target demographic has got to be middle-aged normie women. It has to be, especially those who are career women who didn't start a family.
Yeah, that would, and then are starting to get bitter about it.
Yeah, maybe pushed off that biological imperative and missed out on some things and aren't very happy about it. I don't know, but
There was definitely a lot of drinking in She-Hulk. I mean, it was she
wine
was
moms. Maybe they were hoping to rope in the wine moms too.
So Clownfish TV talks about how Disney targets the wine mom demographic for the parks, and maybe it's just a really excellent case of cross synergy. Like to get the wine moms into content that's gonna make them happy to go to Disney parks.
I don't know, man.
Look, I was trying to come up with something on that kind of explains why they would be doing
No,
it.
I mean I'm just saying I don't know for this whole show. Like I'll be honest. You were like, let's talk about She-Hulk, and I was like, does anybody even want to talk about She-Hulk? She-Hulk just doesn't like. Not only have I heard it's bad, not only have I seen reviews on how bad it is, like Drinker tore it apart, but like it's also inconsequential. It doesn't nothing effing matters, you know? Like it's not like she's out there accomplishing anything. It's not like there's an actual story arc happening. There's nothing there. It
So
is
to
substanceless.
to even get into so fair warning, this is 100% about to be a spoiler. So if you are somebody who does not want to have She-Hulk Attorney at Law season 1 spoiled in its entirety, you know, I've I think we've given you fair warning. That being said, here it's muted, so we're not going to get hopefully struck by the copyright
I'd
gods.
have rather gotten a live action Harvey Birdman attorney at law.
It is a more fondly remembered comedy about law. So, but all right. So in this season finale, like She-Hulk just gets apparently so fed up with the writing of the show she's on. Bear in mind that the writers of the show are making fun of themselves, talking about how poorly written her show is, and it goes completely fourth wall. I'm going to show you this clip where this is She-Hulk about to break through the Disney Plus menu to come into from her TV episode world to face off with the writers in the real world. So she crosses over the Disney lot and finds the writers' room where they're arguing.
You mean to make me believe that there is a guy in that writer's room?
That's an actor. They've
I
already
was
actually
gonna
said,
say if there
like,
was really a guy in that writer's
no.
room, either A, you know,
So
he'd be
out of this
putting out some
picture,
dumb shit, or B,
so
uh,
these two right
they
here,
listen to.
Yeah, these two right here are actors. So the ones who do basically all the talking to She-Hulk
Okay,
are
okay.
actors, but everybody else is actual writers on the show.
What about the guy in the top left there?
He's an actual writer. He says nothing.
Uh, he must be
And
super
this
smart.
right here is the showrunner. She's the head writer, showrunner.
Okay, before we continue hitting play, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to point out something interesting. And this may piss people off, but obviously these people who are working on this show, they are probably career women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the look at their faces. Like they are not happy people. They like even in this silly kind of, mock joke whatever this is that they're doing, those women don't look happy at all. Like they look like very miserable women.
Well, that's kind of a theme for the entire season for She-Hulk because Jennifer Walters, the main character, is not happy. She's just not a happy person. She's constantly upset with everything around her. It's
Oh yeah, I know. I love the scene where she preaches to the Hulk about being angry all the time.
and controlling the anger better.
Oh, well, of course she does it better.
So it's a good example of a character who, when you're writing a main character, you want to make somebody that people root for. You can give them flaws, but you want to do something that makes them likable. And the actress, I think, has charisma. She was the lead in Orphan Black, which I don't know if you watched that one.
I don't think so.
So she had to play clones of the same character who had vastly different lives because it was, nature versus nurture. However, the clone was raised, that would be the person they are. So she was playing umpteen different roles where she had different accents, different skill sets, different personalities, and she definitely had a lot of, I think, personality. It came through. She had a lot of charm, depending on which character she was playing. So she's a good actress, and she's got likability. And there's even moments in this show where she's got likability and it's by accident. Usually, it's when she's having a conversation with Matt Murdock, Daredevil, where it comes out a little bit, where she's allowed to be a more fun person. But then they immediately kind of erase that and kind of move on. And so they've been doing this finale, and she comes in to lecture the writer's room and tell them how stupid all of their ideas are. And she demands to see whoever is actually in charge, which leads them to say Kevin, and everyone thinks Kevin Feige. So she leaves the writer's room. She's going to search for Kevin. She does a hallway fight. So these are just supposed to be real world security guards. And I want you to think about here's something that people, these are just real world security guards who think that their workplace is being assaulted. Like, and look what she's doing to these people. These aren't like supervillains. They're the average working person, and she's smashing them. So they're treating Marvel.
Okay, well that's evil.
Yeah.
Like you gave that guy a concussion.
If not worse, remember she's a Hulk.
Yeah, that
She's
girl, she probably got at least some broken bones.
Yeah.
Like threw her against a wall.
And this is where the big reveal happens. We get that as these all people are suffering and internal bleeding probably, that Kevin isn't a person. Kevin is a robot.
What?
Yeah, and this robot comes up with all the storylines for the Marvel universe.
Hmm. They're trying to do like a portal thing here? Like I
I
don't
guess.
I don't get it.
And I'm going to throw that off the screen just so we don't have any Any issues? Don't
Yes.
want to don't
Fucking
want to get.
weird.
Yeah, and they thought that was smart. So She Hulk goes in there, lectures the machine about how stupid the Marvel storylines are, and rewrites it, makes them rewrite it and redo everything. It's and basically negates the entire season long villain story arc. It was basically telling you you completely wasted your time watching this show for a whole season.
I mean, I think they already knew that. Anyone who was watching it, I think they already knew.
Yeah, I think that most people have come to the conclusion because I'm gonna. This is, I think, a good segue to the next thing. That comes in. Like, how do you judge if the content is good, bad? It's the audience, right? And this is not getting, at least in the communities that we are a part of, which is very pro comic book and all those kinds of things. They're not liking it at all, and so then you'd want to capture the normie audience, the average person. And I don't think it's not doing that either because look, this is the top 10 for the week of September 12th through 18th. Can you tell me where in the top 10 you see She Hulk? Because I don't.
Hold on, I'm looking. I'm trying to find it.
You're slow reader, slow reader. It's okay. Take your time, Joey. Take your time.
Lord of the Rings: Rings of Power is number 2.
That's because Amazon is pushing that thing like it's its job so hard.
Yeah.
But I'd like you to point out. Look at the
I suppose
numbers.
this is views, right? This isn't actual people who said they liked it.
No, this is minutes watched.
Okay, gotcha.
So
Well, the
House
Ring
of
of Power has kind of an advantage right off the bat because I think their episodes are like 40 something minutes.
Yes. Now look at the
Coco Melon is on there, of course.
yeah, but Cobra Kai. We've talked about this.
Yeah,
If
number one.
look at the minutes watched though. It's not even. It's not like it's number
It's
one
more than
barely.
double Rings
Yeah.
of Power.
And then we talked about this before, but House of Dragon. This is only the streaming part, and they were only 28 million below minutes watched Rings of Power. But House of the Dragon is also on regular HBO, which a lot of people just watch still on the regular channel. I think the regular Nielsen ratings, it's pulling millions an episode. So when you tack that on to what it's doing, it's clearly beating Rings of Power.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely see just by looking at the looking at this top 10 here. Like Disney Plus is getting its ass kicked right now.
Yeah, so that's the top 10 overall. If you go to the original side, She Hulk does manage to pop up, but it's in number 10, and you have to take movies out. And then check this out, it's number 10 with 403 million minutes watched. Stranger Things is still beating it. Stranger Things, what came out in July?
Yeah, everybody who wanted to watch Stranger Things at this point has. A lot of people are probably watching it again because, well, I mean, we had this argument yesterday. I love the season and I will watch it again and again and again, but I only give it a 6 overall. But the arcs that were well executed were so well executed. Like, I'll bet you a lot of people just watched that season for Eddie.
They sure do, because he was a great character. I think the part that's embarrassing if you're Disney with She Hulk is look at this Fate the Winx saga, which is a terrible live action adaptation of a children's cartoon, is beating it.
Some of these I've never, like The Imperfects, Devil in Ohio.
Devil in Ohio, I think, is the girl from Bones.
I don't know how Handmaid's Tale is holding up. Are they still making episodes of that? Is that why that still holds up?
Yeah, they just released a new season. I think it's supposed to be their last season, I think.
Probably should be. It's a terrible fucking show.
I've never actually watched it. So, I mean, have you actually tried looking at The Handmaid's Tale?
Oh no. No, my wife told me it's terrible.
Maybe we should like try watching that. We will do that as a like when we get monetized. We'll do it as a member benefit or something. We'll let the
Or it can just
members.
be it can be a long form project. I do like whenever we watch the really shitty stuff and we see if there's any way that it could be fixed. Those
Yeah,
are always fun.
I mean that's a good point because The Handmaid's Tale probably has some ways you could make it an entertaining show. Now,
Speaking of which, quick shout out to Literature Devil. He dropped a new video this week on Galadriel secretly being a Mary Sue, and he had a couple fixes for her that he suggested in there. That was a good video. So everybody should go
Guy
see that.
Galadriel is a content gift that keeps on giving. I think there's maybe one more. Is there one more episode of Rings of Power?
No, I think it's done. I think they finished the first season.
I thought it drops on Fridays.
Maybe there's another episode. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Like I said, my wife felt like she had to watch it because of all the terrible things that were said, and she likes the same thing that I liked in it, which is I enjoyed I enjoyed the guy who played Elrond. I thought he did okay, even though like they didn't give him much to work with because he's a guy. So um, basically, they just put him in a looping plot arc that just kept returning to start and going again. And um, his bromance with Durin, I thought they had a good bromance going. Like it wasn't bad. Some of their lines were shit. Some of their story arc was shit, but I felt like those two did well as Elrond and Durin.
yeah,
Now, if they just could have written them a good arc, might have been worth something. In the end, it really wasn't.
I think we're all who all the people who were fans of the Jackson Lord of the Rings. I don't think we're. I mean, the casting was so perfect in hindsight. You know, they pretty much nailed every role, and I just can't take anybody seriously as Elrond. You know, after seeing Pete, Agent Smith himself playing Elrond.
No, I don't disagree with that. And I mean, I think the casting was probably one of the biggest problems they had with this because, like, and this is a it's a much more modern problem. I think it is a millennial issue of some kind. But it used to be when Hollywood or whoever went to put together a show or a movie or anything, they were looking for someone who had the right look of the character if they were adapting a story, right? Like they were looking for someone who could at least look somewhat like the character. Now they do the exact opposite. They're like, no, fuck that. We're gonna race swap, gender bend, do whatever we got to do. We're gonna try and find the person who is least like the character from the book, and then tell you that that's the character from the book.
That's true. I
And
mean,
it's like I sometimes that's not a problem, but sometimes it is. And I think, I mean, putting aside the terrible eighth season, like Game of Thrones, you could see someone walk on screen and go, "Oh, they're from that region," because they looked like they were from a specific region. Because specific regions had specific people and specific kinds of people, and you saw this because that's kind of what happens in the world. The people who live in an area will evolve and change to that area. It's why even in our world today, there are people who have different skin tones, people who have different complexions, different colored hair, all that shit.
it makes sense. They're definitely not casting for that in the new year kind of stuff.
No, because they wanted to make it look more like the world that we live in. And I'm like, it's not the world that we live in, you dumbasses. It's a fucking fantasy world.
That's true, and it also happened in The Witcher. There's some casting choices that kind of take me out of it, where you can see there was some thought to you know,
Oh, you know I don't like that they cast the person they cast as Triss Marigold. I'm like, Triss Marigold is she was inspired by, Irish Celtic, that kind of thing. Even her magic seems to be that kind of thing. You ginger sided another one.
oh my gosh, did you see? This is gonna. We love doing our segues. Did you see the clip of the still image of what Flounder's gonna look like in the Little Mermaid live action movie?
No.
Oh, I'm pulling it up now because it's a show. People were trying to say that there's going to be a problem. The problem that's going to come up when this gets released, I don't even want to know what Sebastian's going to look like in Little Mermaid, the live action one, because the Flounder character design is just. I can't even sell it. Like, we're gonna have people listening to our audio podcast version, and there's I don't. I'm gonna try to describe it.
Dude, I am sitting here waiting with bated breath to see this picture.
All right. Let me. All right, got it. So let me. Oh, there's a lot of things. I'm not the kind of person who's generally get out of loss for words, but this one did it to me.
Yeah, you are struggling.
There you go.
What the fuck is that?
Flounder.
Is flounder a blobfish?
I don't know what they decided that flounder would be.
Like that looks like a blobfish. They they, they made him kind of fat, which I mean he was always a round fish, but he's got weird fins on the top of his head, and they tried to give him eyebrows.
I know it's doesn't it just bother you?
It's nightmare fuel. That like the something ain't right there. Something is not right. It almost looks like he's like some sort of weird cross between a betta, a lionfish, and an angelfish.
Well, I mean, Flounder, the animated Flounder, didn't really have an analog in the ocean. I mean, whatever. It's an animated Disney movie. They made a kind of fish that didn't really exist to suit the purposes of the movie, but it looked fine in that because it's an animated movie and it was part of the fun character designs of the Little Mermaid. This one is just not good.
I mean, yes, flounder didn't have an analog to a real fish in the animated movie, but this flounder has an analog in the screams of children. That is the only place that you would find this flounder.
So I think the problem they ran into, because when they did the Lion King kind of animated live action one that came out a couple years back, they were doing photorealistic animation, but they still had to make the animals talk and have mouth movements. And that's kind of a difficult thing when you're not making them a cartoony style. And I think that if this is to be believed as a character design, they probably went with something where they could make it easier to animate dialogue, and so they wanted a face that could move for dialogue being spoken instead of a photorealistic version of a fish talking.
I don't know. That thing's disgusting.
But it went through. What I love is it's just like the original Sonic the Hedgehog model, where it must have gone through layers of approval, layers and layers of approval, and people are signing off on this character design.
Yeah, and I know there is some CG animator working his ass off at Disney, like who put this together and gave it to their boss. And you're not doing that guy any favors when you look at that and you go, looks good. Like if you look at that, what you should do is go, no, let's bring me something else. Like,
It's like, no, no, kill it with fire.
yeah,
That's
like
what it should be. This is kill it with fire.
that's what's in the deep dark, down deep dark where you can't see. That's what kills you at 20,000 leagues under the sea. Like that's it. The
Or
thing,
the smile on its face.
yeah. I mean, it'll be enjoying itself when you die.
It is so disturbing. I don't even know that you can
And they gave
sell.
it a double chin. Like, what the fuck is that thing?
Is that
It's,
shadowing? I mean, they've got time to clean it up if they want. If they wanted to pull a Sonic,
yes, but this is out there. Why did they let this get out there?
I don't know because it gets stuff gets on Twitter. People release things, so maybe it's not the final character design. I hope it's not the final character design. Maybe this is just a troll leak where they're gonna be like, haha, we got the internet. You were all upset about the mermaid, and then you got more upset about the fish. But no, the fish is fine, so the mermaid will be fine.
No, I'm still more upset about the mermaid.
It's just it disturbed. Like I having looked at this, I do feel like I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
Oh, as I've told you before, my wife is a ginger, so ginger side is especially annoying to me. And it's even worse when it's like, oh well, we're still gonna give her red hair. It's like that you're still cheating. You're still killing all the Irish. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, there hasn't been. I mean, has there been a new Leprechaun movie lately? Where's the Irish representation in?
I mean, I think the last one was what, Leprechaun in the Hood.
Oh, there were definitely more leprechauns after that.
We're okay. I don't know.
Let's see.
I feel like we got that great movie where there was the death battle between Jason and Freddy. I feel like we need another one of those and throw in like the Leprechaun.
There was Leprechaun Returns in 2018. All right, so let's go through this series here.
We are,
All right.
we are so off the rails. We were going to talk about She-Hulk, and now we're talking about Leprechaun.
Well, our viewers, our and listeners know this is what the Ascendant Art podcast is about. We
I mean,
get
it's
all
Halloween, I
it's
mean, we're in October, so
it's tangents. We're going to be talking about Leprechaun, Leprechaun 2, Leprechaun 3, Leprechaun 4 in space, Leprechaun in the Hood, Leprechaun Back to the Hood, Leprechaun Origins, and Leprechaun Returns.
there was a second Leprechaun in the Hood.
I mean,
Like that sequel did so well that they made a sequel to the sequel.
they did. They did indeed. Here's a fun, as trustworthy as Wikipedia can be. Apparently, they were trying to figure out how to cross it over with the Candyman film series after Freddy vs. Jason.
Well,
Tentatively, it
here's
was.
the thing. You don't need to figure out how. These are horror movies. Nobody's going in there for the deep story arcs. None like those. That's not the.
Well, this is why Tony Todd's my boy. He immediately and flat out refused to participate, saying he had too much respect for the Candyman character.
Lame.
Lame. Tony Todd, he's awesome.
These are just supposed to be a good fun time. Like, don't take them too serious.
I don't. Did you watch the first two Candymans? They were kind of serious. They
Yeah,
were.
every
They.
horror movie is kind of serious in its first couple of iterations, but
I
they
don't know.
followed a very
I think
distinct path.
I think Leprechaun got silly starting even with the first one.
That's
They're
fine.
always after me gold. I mean, having Willow running around killing Jennifer Aniston or trying to kill Jennifer Aniston.
That's fine. They either start off really scary and get sillier and sillier, or they start off kind of silly. Either is fine. But at the end of the day, like a horror movie is supposed to give you some jumps and be hilarious.
So I watched the new Hellraiser that came on Hulu that they made.
Yeah, how was that?
It was a Hellraiser movie. It was. It seemed. I mean, it was actually not too bad. Because I mean, Hellraiser, it's his own kind of horror movie, right? It's kind of into the Cenobites and all the other stuff.
Yeah,
So,
you get the I believe they call it body horror.
yep, the body horror, exactly. And so you've got to be prepared for that. So if that's what you know going in is going to be in there, you're going to probably be okay with it. I think if you're really into Hellraiser, there's a lot. I mean, Hellraiser actually surprisingly had a lot of deep lore because over the movies, it really had a consistent kind of
Yeah. I'm
structure.
familiar with a lot of the Hellraiser lore. I don't really like the movies. Body horror doesn't scare me, it just grosses me out.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just,
it's gross.
I was really more. I was like, I kind of want to see how it comes out, just because I was wondering how they would pull it off in 2022, and it wasn't. It really didn't. Didn't seem very much different than any of the other Hellraiser movies. I would say that the first two Hellraisers were clearly the best, and everything after that was kind of okay. I mean, there was a couple that really explored the lore and got into like the how the box was created, and those were interesting. Just from I like world building and lore. If you're going to keep doing sequels, you want to kind of build on that. But this one was it's the first of its own standalone series. It kind of did its own rules, which may or may not be more close to the original story. Because in the old Hellraiser, you had to have like intent. You had to want to kind of open the box for them to come for you.
Yeah, I mean it was Pandora's box
Yeah,
essentially.
and so you had to even there was a famously in Hellraiser 2 they tricked the girl into opening the box, but they didn't take her. They took the other people because they were the ones who wanted the box opened. So there was you had to have and in that way there was almost a fairness to the punishment.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the Cenobites didn't go there just to punish random people, but in this one, in the new one, it actually
Yeah, their torment was not indiscriminate.
yeah, this one is like they'll make deals. They'll let you basically you can push someone, you can put someone in line like, hey, we know you opened the box or you did this, but if you trade somebody else, we'll take them instead. And that's kind of I mean, horror movies at their best kind of have a morality and a code that they stick to, where you're getting punished through your choices, as opposed to just the random, not like innocent victims. So that's where it makes it easier to watch a horror movie when you know someone's kind of a bad person or they made choices that actually put them on the path to being
Well, and
punished.
it's an important part of the horror movie, like, and I think it's why they did so well, when you and I were growing up, because like there were rules, and the our protagonists, they could figure out those rules, and usually several bodies got waded through before the rules were fully understood, and some of the experimenting with the rules didn't quite work out the way they thought it did. But once they figured out the rules, they could actually fight back. They could do something.
Which is famously spoofed in Scream when they got around to making that one, where they were listing the rules and trying to break the rules and make a whole new kind of slasher movie.
Yeah. But like And this is writing 101, but if you establish rules for your universe, don't break them.
This
And
is true.
if they get broken, they are now broken forever. So you got to make that real careful decision. Like, is it worth it? What's it going to do to my stakes? And if there's no possibility of beating the big bad in a horror movie, um, it kind of stops being scary, if that makes sense. Because like you just resign to, okay, well, they're all going to die. Like, there's no one to root for anymore. You know they can't win. Like, you've got
I
to have
think
those rules.
yeah, that's kind of more the Texas Chainsaw Massacre side where they're just all going to die. It's like
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't scary anyway.
yeah, I mean, I thought the was it the early aughts remake was decent. What did you? I think that came out around 2003 or
I thought
four.
it was decent, but I didn't find it scary. But I mean, it was just a person. It was a guy with a chainsaw. Like,
And then the Saw movies came out, which actually the Saw ones were probably the most explicit about being punishment, or the in the case of Saw it was more you were making bad choices and here is the
well, he
option.
he specifically sought out people who, for whatever reason, didn't appreciate their lives, and he put them in these situations that would make them appreciate their lives.
Correct. I think the good example was I think what is it Shawnee Smith's character who ends up being on team Saw, like whatever his name was, Jigsaw,
Yeah,
where she becomes an ally and actually helps him
yeah.
further.
She turns into his apprentice.
I didn't watch the newest one that they made with Chris Rock,
I didn't either.
Spiral.
I've only seen the first two. I
Oh,
thought the
that
first one was really good. I thought the second one, like, they leaned even harder into the grotesquerie of it, and I'm like, yeah, the first one had an interesting premise, an interesting concept, and like, I had my boy from The Princess Bride, so of course I had to watch it.
Carrie Elway. Yep.
Yeah, who did an
I
amazing job in that movie. But
he
like,
was he was also really good in Robin Hood Men in Tights and Hot Shots, which
but
very
yeah, in the second
underrated
one they
movie.
leaned a lot harder into the slaughterhouse side of the whole thing. I'm like, yeah, okay, there's a lot of blood and gore and disgusting nastiness happening. I'm less interested.
There was that was the coined the term I think from it got at least popularized after Saw, which was torture porn. That was
Yeah, yeah.
and I think the peak of that was when Rob Zombie did like House of a Thousand Corpses, and where it was just focusing on just horror like through body like Hellraiser style, like going body horror where we're just gonna do grotesque. What's
Yeah, it
the
doesn't do it for me.
what's the name when you make an overly elaborate Rube Goldberg like contraption or
Yeah,
something
the
like
Goldberg
yes
machine or whatever.
yeah where they just come up with these overly elaborate machines to kill people, which is funny because I am somebody who enjoyed and we've talked about the Final Destination movies, which leaned into that, but because they were actually I think more of a natural like system where it wasn't some like actual human built machine doing it, it was like fate or like orchestrating just like this little wire pops out of place and causes this and this to end up killing the person. I enjoyed that. I don't know why I don't enjoy it as much when it's a person building equipment as opposed to fate.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a chain reaction type machine or contraption intentionally designed to perform a simple task in an indirect and impractically overly complicated way.
think of Mousetrap, the board game.
Yeah. Usually these machines consist of a series of simple, unrelated devices. The action of each triggers the initiation of the next, eventually resulting in someone getting flattened in a Final Destination movie.
Yeah, I think the Final Destination kill that made me kind of laugh the most was the tanning bed one.
The tanning bed was funny because they won't kill you.
They got turned up to like somehow like the roast you alive, like you're
Yeah,
on
the
Planet
limiter was
Mercury.
disabled.
Yeah. So not gonna
The
lie, that
one that the one that got me is the one where the giant log falls off the back of the truck and goes right through the car with the guy in it. And I'm like,
oh yeah,
I don't follow those trucks anymore. I will break the law. I will crank my speed up to 100 miles an hour to get around one of those if I have to because I don't want to be behind them.
I I'm not gonna say that I don't do the same thing because every time I see one of those log hauling trucks. Also, I think in one of the movies they have the ones that haul the really big like concrete conduit.
Yeah.
Do the same thing. Like I don't want to be around like behind these at all. Just don't want to be around them. I'd rather be ahead of them.
And even when
So
you drive by them, you look at those straps and you're like, I don't know if I trust those straps. Like they always look haggard and beat down because I mean they're hauling that shit across country.
yeah, like by the it only takes one of those failing to cause the bad problems.
Oh yeah, put you in a terrible situation.
So if it only takes one failing, you're always like when you're driving by and you're looking at it, is like which one of those has been on there the longest, which is rusty, which is probably not passing the safety inspections if we're really trying to look things over. It's like it's the what is it? There was a line in Armageddon when they're in the space shuttle getting ready to launch up to go take out the asteroid. He's like, we're on like 10 million moving parts, all built by the lowest bidder.
It's true. It's true.
That's yeah. I don't know if I trust like that trucking company. If they're really trying to make that quarter's numbers, maybe they skimped on that one like extra inspection that would have caught that strap that was fraying a little bit. Just that little fray that ends up causing the Final Destination level end of you.
Not how I'm going out.
It's not how you're going out.
Nope.
How are you going out? Like, what's your plan then?
I mean, my plan? Hopefully, just one day, many decades from now, I go to sleep and I just don't wake up.
Many years from now, when you're lying old in your bed, do the
Yes.
Braveheart speech,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you just look at William Wallace, and you're like, hell yeah, I'm gonna go walk away now. I don't need to be cleaved by these medieval weapons.
Yeah. You guys have fun with that. I'm just going somewhere else.
Oh, I don't think that we'll ever see a movie like Braveheart again in current Hollywood.
Now
But
you give me an M60 and a couple thousand rounds, I'll take care of your British Army over there. No problem. But
yeah, that's like rapid fire machine guns versus medieval armor. You'd look like a scene from The Gate from that anime when they go into the medieval world. Did you ever watch that one?
that I have not, but I did look up that clip because you had told me about it before, and oh boy, it's kind of about how it goes.
Let me see. We'll pull it up because I do enjoy. There we go. Let me make sure this is the right one.
Doing a quick QA before you put it up on screen.
Yeah, I just want to. There we go. Yep, this is the one. Let me go. All right, cool. We do things live here. We don't have editors or anyone. So the anime that we're talking about is called The Gate or Gate.
We have an editor.
We do. Well, that's true, but
He's
not
not
live.
editing live though.
Yeah, we don't have a live editor or live. We don't have a live producer. I guess would be.
Like, for example, if you're listening to the recording right now and this isn't the live stream, he probably edited all the shit we were just talking about out. So.
I know, and when we go on these like 2 second tangents that don't go anywhere, he's a good guy. I've noticed that our podcast drops down by like a half hour when he once the editing's done.
It cuts out all those awkward pauses.
That's true. Our likes and ums, all those good things. All right, so we've got this is fun. We're gonna. The premise here is this medieval world has been invaded through a interdimensional gate into modern day Japan. They get pushed back, and now they think they are the strongest empire in this land, and they're gonna take this gate and think that these silly Japanese self defense force people who are not coming in with any dragons or orcs or anything else are going to be easy. They're walking right over the signs warning them that they're getting into the protected zone, and then artillery comes in. And your medieval armor and cavalry doesn't do anything against artillery coming down on you.
Nope.
And of course,
well, it does. It does one thing, and that is you're a tiny little oven. So even if you're on the edge of the blast, you might be cooked from the inside because of the armor you're wearing.
And I love this because they're not used to it. All they saw was smoke, so they had to move in to see what happened. And just the idea that to a man, 100% of their forces are now just gone, obliterated, eliminated.
Yeah, didn't do so well.
And then let's see. Now we've got the here we go.
Oh, anti-aircraft guns.
First offensive result, 10,000 dead. They bring in dragons, so they are using anti-aircraft guns against the dragons and take them out. They're just second offense, 40,000.
40,000 dead. Man, those are overlord numbers.
They try to go at night thinking that, we'll sneak up on you at night, and they don't understand that they have night
NVG.
vision, and then the phosphorus rounds to light it up like daylight. And of course, barbed wire. Oh, it's a great anime. I don't know that it would fall under the isekai. I mean, because they are going to another world, but they kind of walk through a gate to get there, so the protagonist doesn't have to die from truck-kun or be reincarnated by a goddess.
Hey, dying is not it's not like the only way an isekai can happen. An isekai just means somebody goes to another world. We had this discussion when we were talking about The Devil is a Part-Timer,
which also rounded out its second season pretty well.
Yeah. And left me waiting for the third season though, because they set up a whole bunch of good stuff.
But you brought up Overlord season 4. That just finished, and that was awesome. I think we'll have to do our own, like a separate episode, kind of for the weeb listeners.
Do a dedicated weeb bout.
Yeah, because I don't think a couple minutes here or there can do justice. Because especially that last episode had, I think there was one segment where that was animated so creepy, and the dance, you know what I'm talking about. And it was just fantastic, and we'd have to, I think, go into a lot of detail about just how much is being given to you as an audience just in the animation that they're presenting. You know, we talk a lot about show don't tell and use your medium to present your message. And that was something where they were able to use the visual to give so much information about the character and what's going on in their head just from that. And it's something that we could use a lot more of in regular television and movies. And I don't know why anime is doing it so much better and they're killing it that way, but it was fantastic.
They are doing a good job. Overlord is one of the best too, I think.
I don't know, like what's in Spy Family came back, and that's been pretty strong. I don't. What else is anything else new this season that you've been watching?
Uzuki-chan wants to hang out, but
Oh,
I'm
that's.
waiting for the English dubs to start dropping.
Oh yeah, that's right. I watched that one because I can read subtitles, so you don't have to wait for that. But it especially I do see what you're talking about. If you watch Slice of Life, it's just supposed to be so much more of a relaxing kind of vibe. I can get why the dub is much more appealing to you.
Wow, I can't believe you admitted that.
Well, I've started thinking about it as with the Slice of Life, with where you're just kind of it's a chill experience. You're just trying to
Oh,
like.
I'm almost always doing something else while I'm watching it. Like that's kind of my big thing is unless it's like a go-to show for me, I'm usually doing something else at the same time, so I can't be bothered to just stare directly at the TV the entire time. Whether it's
Yeah,
making
so
food or
so I have started moving in the direction of I get why a person could enjoy the dubs on Slice of Life more. I do still especially like it in more action oriented. Like the performances on Overlord are so much better in the Japanese. Just the vocal performances, especially Albedo, in my opinion. There's something about the Japanese language when you're getting somebody like the Albedo character that just works better. Or for the season finale, Creepy Princess, it where I don't know because it's maybe a little bit of a tonal language where it just makes it more nuanced in how they're speaking things.
I don't know. I will say the actress for Albedo who does the English dub, like when she gets vindictive, she sounds very much like she should sound. Like she's very good at the vindictive.
And nobody
Like
needs
when
to come
Albedo feels slighted and is going to torment someone.
like when they beg for for death, don't let them die then.
Oh, that
Like
was like probably my favorite part when Ainz was like, "Take them to the pit and do not kill them until they beg for death." And then he's like, "Very well, my lord." And he's walking away and he's like, "Oh, and even when they do beg for death, you can take your time with it."
I know.
Like he was so pissed at those nobles.
I just thought what is it when I forget what the name of the characters. One of the the twins, the brother and sister that are reverse dressers,
Yeah.
to you not get knocked for other language. When they were when the one was tasked with raising the town and was just having such a like no I can do it and was just like a little like can do kind of child about just murdering an entire city of people.
Well, yeah, and the one was like being all nice about it and like, "You should really run away. I'm gonna start using magic now, and you'll die."
And then you're wondering why that happened and you get the payoff, which is awesome.
And then the other one was like, it was like, I'm just here to collect the magic items. Do you have any magic items?" And the guy starts like, I thought there was gonna be a fight there, and
just like kills him in one move, and is like, all right, the rest of you, where are the magic items I've come here to collect?
He's like, you guys know, like I'm on a schedule here, okay? I need to get this done quickly. I don't have time to fight you.
No, that's one of the things I like about Overlord. They allow the OP characters to be OP. You know, they don't have to. Now they do have characters that rise to the occasion that we've seen in season 4 that are going to be possibly a threat, but they make a big point like that's been coming. Ainz as a character knew there would be people who could do that kind of stuff, and he was looking for them. But for the most part, the average people they encounter, even the like top tier, I guess would, you know, using anime language, the S tier heroes of the nation are
They're still
just,
NPCs.
yeah, they're just one shotted by these people, and it's great.
I am kind of sad about old boy who went up against the Mantis guy.
Kaikilis, that's his name, right? Okay.
I don't know. He was the one carrying the holy sword, right?
He's the one that has like the ice powers.
Yeah, but the human that went up against him, the one who also observed Ain's duel with the general in the previous season.
Yeah, yeah, the one that got spared to with the sword.
Yeah, that's sad he went, but they froze his body, so I think he might come back.
I think they're gonna resurrect him because Ein seems to want to. I'm anime only on Overlord, so I don't know where this is going to go. But he's if you look at his character, he is troubled when he has to get rid of the people he thinks are good people. I shouldn't say troubled. He would like to find a way to still keep them around as useful tools for him. I mean,
Well, yeah, he's conflicted anyway. Like he's kind of there's a lot of back and forth with his character. Like, is he a monster? Is he not? He feels kind of like he's a monster because, like, I think there are times when he even says like, I don't feel like a human anymore. Like I don't have those human emotions. I have no empathy anymore. It's kind of weird.
yeah, he says that, and then he's still scared of Demiurge and Albedo realizing he's not like a master, um, like tactician.
Yeah, which is kind of funny.
It's because he's so he's constantly trying to like, oh, you've already figured out what my plan is. Why don't you tell everyone else so they can be in on it too? like, clearly the trick so he can be informed on what is the master plan that he allegedly had kind of come up with.
Yeah. All right. Now I think we did about 10 minutes talking about She-Hulk, and then we have successfully segued into everything else we could ever want to talk about. Should we wrap back around to She-Hulk? Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about regarding She-Hulk?
She-Hulk is terrible. I don't think it's a good look for Disney. I think they've done damage to their brand, but everybody else has said that. What makes our podcast fun and that I like and I enjoy is that we do these conversations and it's just good times. It's like hanging out at a comic book store. You had no idea where the conversation was going to go, and that's what's nice. But to summarize, She-Hulk is terrible, and I think Critical Drinker nailed it pretty accurately. And if you want a good short review that will sum it up very efficiently, that's where you go. We do more of the long man content, but that we do agree with them that it was just terrible. And I am really looking forward to Mauler and the EFAP crew probably getting a hold of this season finale, because it's gonna really be fun when they break that down.
They've been hitting it on EFAP, haven't they?
Yeah, that's my point. I'm really gonna go. I'm gonna make a point of trying to get watch that one live as it's happening, because I find that when one of the silver linings when you see this content that's coming out that's so terrible, even when it's properties that you're a fan of and were a fan of growing up, the silver lining is you're going to at least get some really fun content to watch from people like Mahler. Like, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed that Black Widow and Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League videos that he did, and then the EFAP on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is one of my I think all time favorite EFAP episodes. You do better.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things Mahler ever put out was when he did the extremely long form review of the sequel trilogy for Star Wars. Like, I've watched those multiple times. They're really good. So yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, burn down all of our old classics. At least something can rise from the ashes.
Yeah, I know. I as a fan, I do feel like I would enjoy it if they just made good versions of that more than the content I'm getting from these guys. But part of me is like, no, this content is really good. So, eh, who knows? No, I would prefer it if they just made good Star Wars and good Marvel content. Like, all the way through Endgame was pretty good. Like, Infinity War was amazing. That one was great in the
I think
theater.
Infinity War would be the peak. Like, it was the peak. Endgame
And
wasn't bad, but I still don't think it was as good as
no, now
Infinity
what
War.
Endgame had was some payoffs that were really good, like when Captain America lifts the hammer
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and he's fighting him, by himself with the broken shield. That I mean, that's talk about do better. Like, what do look at that Steve Rogers was there. Never mind. I'm not going to get in that tangent, but that one did you go see that one in the theater?
I don't go see anything in the theater really.
All right, I was there like opening night, and when when they just show the hammer getting picked up, like the crowd just lost it,
The last
and it
thing I
was
went to see
fantastic.
in theaters was um, Dark Knight
Dark
with
Knight
Heath
Rises
Ledger.
or Dark Knight? Oh no, the Heath Ledger. Oh, Dark Knight, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't go to the movies all that often.
Trying to, like, not even Top Gun Maverick.
No, no.
You got to come over. We'll throw it on the home theater.
I did, however, like I said, I watched Bullet Train the other day, and I did enjoy that. I enjoyed that a lot. I
Oh,
mean, do I think it was a great movie? No. Was I hoping for a great movie when I went into it? Also, no. I got exactly what I wanted out of that movie, which was a really cool, kind of fun, action-packed heist type movie.
it reminds me. It kind of seemed like a more fun if you ever watch Gross Point Blank,
Yeah.
where it's kind of got the hitman character who's having moral qualms.
It had some Kill Bill vibes, some Snatch vibes, some Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels vibes. Like, it had a lot of that going on, all kind of mixed up.
Yeah, especially the twins.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the twins. Like, the twins were one of the all the characters were great. I would say the only character who wasn't that great, and like, I mean, she was only in the movie for like 5 minutes. In all honesty, was the one who used the snake venom as a poison.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know if she was
Oh,
shoehorned into the last
it's
second or what, but
it's
like her dialogue was just terrible.
it's Zazie Beats, right? I think is the actress's name.
Yeah, and every time she opened her mouth, she would end whatever she said with "bitch," and I was like, okay, little too one dimensional on that particular character. Like,
Yep.
but she was only in the movie for like 5 minutes, so it didn't really matter.
I did like her in Deadpool because she played Domino, Deadpool 2.
Yeah, yeah.
And what else was she in? She was in something else right around there that was pretty good.
Oh
She's
yeah, I don't think the actress did anything wrong. I just think like the character's lines were kind of poorly written, and she worked with what they gave her, which wasn't much.
yeah. It's I did it's a good thing. Well, Bullet Train was good for what it was. I think Bullet Train is one of the things that we used to get a lot of out of Hollywood. Like those nice small, like not too big movies that were just good times that you could go and see.
Yeah, your classic summer blockbuster.
Well, it wasn't even a classic summer blockbuster like the big budget summer one. Like these were the ones you would get like it came out in August or you'd get in April. Like the people forget the Mummy wasn't supposed to be a huge franchise. It came out in April, the first one. It was
Hmm.
just and people just liked it so much that it got huge.
Yeah, it
Because
got what, three sequels?
the Mummy
Like three sequels
Returns.
and two spin-offs or some ridiculous shit.
Well, the Scorpion King series, which so if you indirectly led to The Rock being in everything,
Yeah.
came out of that. And then there was the Mummy, the Dragon Emperor, where they decided to like do Chinese co-financing, and they recast Rachel Wise as Maria Bello, and they just were like, we're gonna just make a like they used to do. We'll make a joke that hey mom, you don't even look you don't look as like you used to. Oh, I'm just getting a little bit of where they make those like little jokes about recasting the main character.
Yeah, I hate when they do that.
And Marie Bello, by the way, I didn't go out. I should have got payback after we were talking last week. I didn't finish the order. We need to do that. Mad's gonna be. Hopefully he got it, because we are gonna be streaming with them on Saturday, which is that'll be fun. Bunch
Yeah.
of YouTubers. So we'll be that. This is I think a good place to kind of wrap up. We've done like an hour. We had our good times. We're gonna
Yeah,
go.
slow news week, I guess, right? Like there's just not a lot to talk about.
I mean, we covered most of it is still like people talking about Velma, which we talked about last week. I don't feel like going back on that. Well, I think we've said our piece on that.
No, and it went over exactly as we thought it would. Like nobody likes this fucking trailer.
I wasn't aware because I didn't see the clip like where what it came out after we had talked was that still image where they had like Daphne nude in the locker room after they had made a point that they were like, we're not sexualizing, we're not going to make her just a pretty face anymore. And like the first promotional still image they release of Daphne from the show is her with strategically placed bubbles from a locker room. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are terrible.
We're so sorry we insulted you in our first trailer. Here's some TNA. You guys like TNA, don't you? Don't you?
Exactly. Uh, but all right, so we'll wrap it up here. It's been another fun week on the Ascendant Art podcast. Hopefully, people listening on the audio podcast had a good, nice time. Come to YouTube and Rumble because we are also posting on Rumble for our video content if you want to see the images that we've been talking about when we go over it. Or you can just enjoy the audio podcast as well on Apple, Google, Spotify, any Amazon Music, wherever audio podcasts are. I got to get better on our plugs, but that'll come with time.
We'll
Like,
write a little
subscribe.
script. We'll get some cue cards.
Yeah, hopefully you'll like and subscribe next week. I think by then the Lord of the Rings of Power. God, I hate how it has so many repeating words. Will have had its season finale, and we'll see if Joey's wife managed to watch that, or if we'll just
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about it. And hopefully Guy Ladriel will find some kind of compelling story arc, but probably not.
Well, the funny thing is, like, my wife liked some things about the show. Guy Ladriel was the one thing she hated. She's like, I don't like her at all. Like, she's a terrible character. She's not interesting. she's a bitch. like,
I think
why would anyone like this character? She's not likable.
I think we there's one thing when you find those points of kind of universal agreement is I know that there's a lot of show media defending it right now, but in the next couple months after the show is done and the Amazon money's not pouring in, I think the universal agreement's going to be that Guy Ladriel was a bad character and not something that they should do again.
Oh yeah, and even the people who are trying so hard to like this show will be completely forgotten within a year. Like the only thing that will ever happen, the only conversations that will ever happen with this show are, "Hey, you remember that Rings of Power thing Amazon did? Oh yeah, I remember that. Kind of sucked, huh? Yeah, yeah, it did." That's the whole conversation. This will not be talked about long term. There's it's just not happening.
Yep. So everybody like, subscribe, share our stuff. Hopefully we'll get a bigger audience and keep this thing going. But thanks for coming in and
I mean,
listening
whether
for
we
another
have
one.
an audience or not, man, we're gonna keep this thing going. We just get together and bullshit once a week.
Yeah,
Like,
this is just our hangout time. Let's be honest. That's what it really is.
I mean, I'd love to start making some money off of it, but
Yeah,
it is
let's.
by no means a necessity for us
We
to keep
are
this podcast going.
we are 986 short on subscribers, and no 886 short on subscribers. No, I think yeah, and I don't know about the watch time because they're whatever the YouTube keeps changing their rules. So I know it's 1,000 subscribers and then a certain amount of watch time, and maybe we'll get there. But it'll be fun no matter what. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.
Okay, bye.